Have you ever tried to read your profit and loss statement and just wondered what all of those numbers mean and exactly what is it telling you? Or even more importantly, what should you do with that information? Well, today I'm going to give you the simple guide to how to read a profit and loss statement effectively. What's going on, everybody? Craig here, and I'm a profit coach who loves helping service-based business owners finally find some peace of mind when it comes to their money. Now, if you hate reading financial documents, you're not alone. In fact, most business owners I work with are in the same boat. They can't stand reading them. And on top of that, even when they do look at them, they don't really know what they're looking at. I often host webinars with lots of business owners on the call, and I'll run a poll and I'll say, when's the last time you looked at your profit loss statement? And the answer is months or years sometimes, or never. And really that's the case. And when I ask, when's the last time you looked at your business bank account? Most business owners are saying today or daily or every minute. That's because that's what we're looking at. Most of us are not looking at profit loss statements and really using that information. We're just looking at our cell phone to see how much money we have in our bank account. And that's why I believe your day-to-day management shouldn't be based on those financial documents. They should be based on your behaviors, leveraging your bank accounts, and utilizing a system called Profit First. That said, financial documents are incredibly important. They tell you the history of your business. They can help you project growth, and I use them with my clients to really figure out what state is their business in and how can we make some changes in their cash system and in Profit First to get them in a better, healthy state. And so we need those documents. And of course, you need them for filing your taxes and doing those types of things. So while I don't think the profit and loss statement is the end all be all to business finance, I do think it's important, and it's not as complicated as you might think. So let's walk through what a profit and loss statement has, what each section means, so that you have a clearer understanding of what you're looking at when you're going through your financial documents. A profit and loss, or a P&L, or sometimes called an income statement, is typically broken into four main categories. Now, there may be other categories just depending on how your bookkeeper codes things, but we're going to go through the four categories that are going to be in almost every profit loss statement. The first section is going to be revenue or income, sales. Depending on what system you're using, they might name it differently, but this is just basically a list of your income in the business. Where are you making money? Now, the main category is going to say revenue, and then there might be a few items under it that list your different income sources. So if you have products, if you offer a service, whatever it is, or if you offer a variety of each, then they might be listed differently under that section. The key here is you're going to see your total revenue, your total income before anything is taken out, how much money actually flowed into the business. The second section that we typically see is going to be your cost of goods sold, or COGS. This is materials you need or things you need in order to create your product or provide your service. So if you're selling t-shirts, this is going to be the actual cost of the shirt or the ink or the cost of getting it pressed. That's the cost of goods. So in order for you to sell that shirt, these are the expenses involved with actually creating that product. If you own a service-based business, let's say you do home renovations, this would be the cost of materials. This would be the cost of subcontractors, people you're hiring out to do the work inside of that renovation. So that's what would be listed under COGS. The reason we separate these things out from your regular expenses is because we want to know exactly what does it cost to do what you do. So these are the essential things. This is the things that you actually need in order to provide what you provide. And that's what's going to give us the gross profit. What this basically means is taking your top revenue, those sales at the top of the spreadsheet, we're subtracting these COGS, the cost of goods sold, and you're going to see a number called gross profit listed under that. That is what is your income after you've covered the costs of creating or setting up your service or your product. Some people look at this, and even in Profit First, we look at this as your real revenue because this is the actual money that you're dealing with, not just because the other money in COGS they're just costs of business. There's not much we can do about those things. They are what they are. Sure, we can maybe look to see if there's a cheaper way to get t-shirts or ink, but those costs are there. We can't get rid of them. They're always going to be there. So the real revenue or that gross profit, that is what the business is actually bringing in that you have control over what we can do with that. The third section and the most extensive section is your operating expenses. Now, these are your expenses for running the business, we a lot of times call this your overhead expenses. This is going to vary drastically depending on your business, your industry, what you do. But this might be your rent for your office space. This will be your employee wages. This is going to be utility bills. This will be any online subscriptions that you have to pay, fuel if you're traveling to get to and from jobs. This can encompass a lot of things, and this is where a lot of opportunity comes in, because we can look at this list and see, okay, where is there some waste? What are the overhead costs? Where are some areas that maybe we could trim back? You might be shocked to see how much you're spending in a certain category versus some other categories. Now, a lot of times this will be broken up into sections, almost subsections. So you might see a section for payroll where it's going to cover not only employee wages, but their taxes. You might see a section for office space where you'll see the rent and the utilities. So it's not unusual to see little sections, things grouped down in there to keep it more organized and give you a good, clear picture into what you're spending on each thing, like marketing or whatever it is. Once we know all of our expenses, we're going to subtract that from that gross profit, that money that is left after the COGS. We're going to subtract that. And what you're going to come up with is the fourth section, which is your net profit or your net income. Your net profit is the amount that you have made. That is your profit from the year. That's after all your expenses are covered. It is your profitability, what is left over. Now, this number is really important. We want to make sure that you are a profitable business, that you are not in the negative. In fact, if you were to take your gross profit and divide it by your top line revenue, that's going to tell you what your profitability percentage is. And how can we improve that? Well, we can look into this P&L and we can go through some of those expenses and see how can we reduce that to increase that net profit. Now, you've probably heard the bottom line, right? That's where it comes from. This is the bottom line of the profit and loss statement. It is the number that we most want to focus on, which is that profitability for the business. Now, here's the thing about a profit and loss statement. It's not going to give you a perfect view into what your business is doing or how it's doing financially. There's some other documents that come into play that we might need to look at, such as a balance sheet or a cash flow statement. These are going to help us see what owner draws may have come out, what debts might be there, what assets you have, and what other liabilities there might be. All of these come into the picture when it comes to knowing the financial health of your business, but the income statement or the profit loss statement is the most simple snapshot you can have. And if you can just look at this and understand it, you're going to be light years ahead of most business owners. Now, I have done a deep dive into cash flow statements and balance sheets and how to read those. So I'm going to link those videos right up here. Jump into the next one and learn your way through each of these documents because they're going to help your business. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. I will see you next week.